He lives in this neck of the woods. Jason Falinski, this must be terrifying to see these numbers come in.
No, it's not terrifying at all, Laura. I mean, you know, we saw in 2013 Barry O'Farrell suffer a 26% swing against him in the state seat of Miranda during a by-election. And then 2 years later, Mike Baird won with a very clear majority, promising to privatise poles and wires in New South Wales. The other thing you need to keep in mind is a very large number of people, like about close to 50% of people who voted by postal vote because the State Electoral Commissioner didn't want people to come to polling booths. He hasn't even started counting those votes. We expect those votes to swing very clearly towards the Liberal Party. And I guess the third thing that I'd make is this is what you get from independents. I mean, you know, once again, saying one thing and doing another. So when it comes to the Northern Beaches Tunnel, which will relieve traffic pressure for hundreds of thousands of people on the northern beaches and the North Shore of Sydney, where are the independents? Once again, opposed to it. I mean, it's this sort of cynical politics that I think ordinary Australians are revolted by.
Well, sure, but they don't seem that revolted with a 20% swing towards this particular independent. We know there's a lot of independent, particularly female ones, at the upcoming federal election. I mean, you've got to be a little bit frightened of the result, looking at the cashed up campaign. We're going to hear from Simon Holmes of court today, and then this very real result in this seat of Willoughby.
Yeah, look, the coal-funded independence that has now been discovered. Yeah, coal investor funded. Absolutely, I just did. I mean, Laura, there's nothing funny about this. There really isn't. Zali Steggall received money from a coal investor who got his money from a mine that he bought from Eddie Obeid. Where's the honesty, integrity and transparency, much less the pro-climate policies in that? And then she tried to hide it by dividing his cheque between 8 family members. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Simon Holmes of court has a lot of explaining to do at the National Press Club today. Now, the media in this country has rolled the red carpet out for Simon Holmes of court. I would say at this point that it is probably well and truly time that those journalists turning up to the Press Club today actually start asking Simon Holmes of court some tough questions about where his money's coming from.
I'm sure they will. But on a more broad note, we look at some of these seats, particularly in New South Wales, where they don't have pre-selected candidates. We're so close to an election. Doesn't this also show that it's moderate candidates, not conservative candidates within the Liberal Party, that are the ones that need to win these marginal seats and are the best chance against independents? Do you buy that?
Look, I think the ideology, the policies, the ideas, the vigour, the energy of the Liberal cause in Australia is the one that will win us this with the people of Australia. I mean, it just seems to me that there's the media in this country that is enamoured by how much money some of these candidates inherited and don't ever seem to ask, well, what are your ideas and policies for the future? And that's how they get away with it. They are not being held to the same level of account.
That's why I asked Jane Hume today about the blind trust that Stuart Robert has. Is that a question we should be asking as well?
Absolutely, you should be asking that question. And Stuart Robert has answers to that question, as does every single member of Parliament, except for one. And that person is Zali Steggall and the Climate 200 candidates who we don't know. Because what we do know is they received $100,000 from a coal investor who bought his coal mine from Eddie Obeid, who had an adverse finding against him at the Independent Commission Against Corruption in New South Wales, not a body that I hold in high regard, and still she tried to hide it. Now, I tell you what, if I received $100,000 from someone like that, I tried to hide it too. But the law says you're not meant to. And the point about all of this is, these are the questions that need to be asked of Simon Holmes.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Of course, my answer is, how can we trust any answer he's got?
Real-time disclosure of donations, even to the Liberal Party.
Because real-time disclosure, Laura, let me be very clear about this. Real-time disclosure is a system that exists in the United States. Now, if you want to pollute our politics with even more money, then can I encourage you to adopt the policies and practices of US politics?
Why can't you have a cap on donations and real-time disclosure?
Well, there is a cap on donations at the New South Wales level. How do you think that's worked out? I mean, what we've found is coal investors giving money to people who claim to be in favour of reducing emissions in the economy.
Maybe you need a federal ICAC.
I mean, the fact remains. Well, we definitely need a body to investigate corruption, dedicated to investigating corruption. And I encourage the Labor Party, I encourage those on the crossbench to support the government's bill.
Love it when you fire up, Jason Falinski. Good to have you on the program. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Laura.